Good evening. My name is Tammy. I'm your connection guide at singlelife.today. And we are very excited to have Ron Moskal with us again to talk about a subject that, well, I'm just going to say this. If you don't know that you need something like this, you might be the difficult person. I'm humble enough to know that I am often the difficult person in my relationships. And that was one of my first segues into a journey of personal growth. So tonight, how to deal with difficult people. Ron Moskal has 25 years experience as a headhunter, human resources consultant. And you can imagine some of the most stressful and difficult conversations happen while we're at work. All of the things that you're going to learn tonight from Ron carry over as skills into our personal relationships. So let's give Ron our attention tonight. Feel free to participate. This is a two-way event. All of our events at Single Life Today are for your benefit. All of us are 50 years older. And if we haven't learned how to deal with difficult people at this point in the game, this is a great time to start. So with that, I'm just going to introduce Ron. Welcome aboard. And we look forward to hearing all of the things that you have to teach us tonight.
Thank you very much, Tammy, for this opportunity. And I'm a open book here about what I'm going to talk about. Whatever I talk about, bring forward today, can relate to a relationship or a business. And there's lines across what you would tell somebody at work or tell somebody in a relationship. The same steps will occur. And if you follow them, I'm going to give you more peace of mind. I've narrowed this to give you the key points as simple as I can. And I'm willing to share my slides with anybody who would like to, if they contact Tammy here, and we'll get this to you. Let's start. Difficult situations are just part of life, right? You're just going to have them. It's going to happen every day. Different people. You're going to have neighbors constantly fighting. A father may be unhappy with your career choice, who you're dating, who you've married, maybe your boyfriend. Maybe people will talk about your kids and you'll get upset with those people. There'll be criticisms, there'll be lying, they'll be talking behind your back, right? And it's upsetting. It's just upsetting. Managers and supervisors don't get along. Employees get fired. Everyone is miserable. And together it gives you stress and shortening your lifespan. Believe me, what you discuss in your head with the stress is going to shorten your lifespan. And if you ignore that, it'll just bother you to no end and it'll get worse. As I prepared for this a couple days ago, I thought, what are all the moods that come through when I deal with difficult people? So I wrote down it didn't take me much more than a minute and a half, and I'll share with you what came across with me. Personally, I talk to myself when I'm dealing with difficult people. I'm starting to think, what should I say to them? Some people cry. They get so upset about things. Some people can't sleep. I couldn't sleep about a couple issues that I had to deal with. I'm the president of my association, and what some of the owners talked about to me about guidelines. People get angry. They get arguing with others, or you're plain ignoring the situation. Drinking too much, driving too fast, or maybe too slow. Maybe you're somebody, I gotta believe half the time I honk at somebody, I don't know what they're thinking. And it could be about a difficult person. And you often share the issues with other people and family members. So they start getting involved in your problem. Pounding the table, throwing things. You'll love this. I was recruiting a secretary for a VP. And I said, like I say to everybody else, what prompts you to consider leaving your position? She says, my boss, my president of this company, starts throwing things against the wall. Now, I couldn't name the name of this company, and you would know it right off. They're in the beer and wine sales. And this person, it was written about, they didn't talk about that because I know the other side. This person's been glorified. Being sad. You may be watching more TV than usual. You might just want to get away from the whole situation. Staying up late very often. Cannot get out of bed in the morning because you have to deal with thinking about these people. And you're mad with the company or the company you work for. And the bottom line, if you were to capsulize all this is stress. Now, so Pam, let's go to the next one.
Sure. And Ron, I'm going to add one too on the relationship aspect. You know how they always say, don't ever go to bed mad.
Yes.
But how many of us have gone to bed and turned our back on that other person, because you can't get over the situation. And it's hard after you're in a relationship for a long time, sometimes to remember the good things about the other person, and you just hold on to that madness. And I love what you said about the stories. We play tapes in our head, right? And when
Yes.
there's something negative going on, we just keep going over. And you're right, you spend so much time on that. So that's, I don't know, I resonate with that.
Yeah, good. So now there are options that you might take. At least you're taking some action against what's going through your head. This could give you a bad name though. If you start attacking people, they might be afraid of you, and there'll be a loss of communication. You don't want that. You might disconnect. You leave the problem aside. You don't want to address this issue. You start losing support and friends. The other option, the third option, is to confront and talk to the person about the issue at hand. Next one, please. So when you confront the issue, you want to do this in the shortest time possible because you don't want the stress. So following these steps quickly will help you longer term. You'll feel wonderful about it. You're in control of the situation. You conquer the opposition. You conquer your fear. And that's a big challenge to say you're going to do something and conquer that fear. Few accomplishments are more satisfying than confronting someone who is difficult to face and handling the conflict. We know that. That's why many people are stressed by this. So we're going to talk about some action steps next that you should take when you're dealing with a difficult person. Next slide.
I wonder if anybody has a story about too, Ron, where this has happened to me in the past, where I faced it and then I was surprised by how receptive the person was to
Yes.
my feedback or my, interaction with them. So I was afraid. And then when I got the courage to say what I wanted to say, it was much easier than I thought it was going to be.
Yes. Yes.
Is there anybody else have one of those stories?
I have hired hundreds of people, and I have had to terminate a lot of people, some for reductions in force, not for their own, but terminate them for performance, stealing or something. I've had security people outside my office who are armed. I've had security people with dogs outside my office. It was scary to me. I had signals all worked out with those people, but I was fearful too. I'm dealing with a volatile situation. But I've gotten to the point that I've done it so many times that it's now comfort. I've gotten to the point where some people where I've terminated them and they thank me for the way I did it. So there's a little pride and confidence when you do it so many times, and the other person appreciates it.
Right. And then, it's just another human being at the same time, right? So at the end of the day, we're very much alike. So it's another human being. So when you treat somebody with respect and some humility, it's usually going to go better. So, okay, you want to go to the next slide?
Yes, please. So what are the action steps? You formulated, got the courage that you're going to do something. You've got the guts. You've got that. So the first thing you want to do is make the decision to face up to the person directly and by yourself. And sometimes there'll be times where you might have somebody with you. That's more in a business sense, but you've made the decision. And here's some key points. Over time, you need to write down the exact problem you need to handle and your goal for the confrontation. That's key. Take notes, not keep everything in your head, that when some key things happen, you put the date and time. That's what business people do. And you can do that same thing in a relationship. You want to write down a plan or list of points you need to make to support your goal. I put dates, times, facts, location. All this will be important so that the person, you're laying out the picture of the situation that you have. Okay, next, Tammy. Okay, so you've done your facts and that. The second piece here is what may come your way. What objections may come your way? What will the reactions be? That's what I had to do in business. How is this person's going to react if they say this or that? You want to put everything in writing so that you kind of memorize it or have notes in front of you when you talk to someone. There's nothing wrong. You want to be as professional as possible. And arrange the meeting where you will not be disturbed, preferably in a space you control. I have to say, I messed up one time in a relationship where I needed to move on in a relationship, and I made arrangements to pick this person up, and we had dinner. And I regret that to this day, to do something in a public place as opposed to breaking up in their home or their condo or such. So the meeting place is important. When I was terminating employees, when I was in corporate life, I usually got a suite at a hotel or did it in an office. And reflecting back, I did a lot with salespeople, and very often I talked to the district manager about the termination, and I had the person with me, and that was the manager with me, and that person, the district manager, was to lay out the termination of this employee for performance. And I said to the person, and some of these, especially salespeople, they get all worked up and that they want to punch the person. And I said, listen, if I give you a signal, I'm going to take over. So you want to make sure that you have all your facts and emotions straight when you do something of this nature. Next, Tammy. Okay, starting the meeting. Here's where you start formulating, where you're getting the meat on the bone about having this on a one-to-one basis. You're going to look the person directly in the eye. You're not going to put your head down, look away. That sum up the courage to be focused. Explain the specific problem you want to solve. It could be anything. You know, you pick me up like you criticize me. You do A, B, C, and D. And go to the first point I talked in the prior list, step 3. Listen carefully to the other person and make certain they are understood. That is a big point. You can't talk to somebody and just be all verbal without having them feel comfortable that they are understood. No matter who it is, I've learned, don't talk over them. Let somebody explain their side of the story. Even if it's wrong, you know it's wrong, you know what action steps you're going to take anyway, but at least stop and listen. That's a problem a lot of people make when they want to keep talking and don't let the other person feel like they're not understood. Hold a position on your points. You've got to keep the courage to do that. There are times, however, when you keep talking, when you talk and the person's talking over you and you've spent 5 or 6 minutes, 10 minutes explaining yourself over and over again, there will be times when you can say, and I have done this in the past, especially with some of the owners in my association, this conversation is over and you just need to walk away. Those times will happen, hopefully not very often, but you have to have the courage to just walk away sometimes if the person's being argumentative. Continue describing your points and listening to the person's side calmly. Do not give up. Communicate and persist for as long as it takes for you to reach your goal. Spend the time. Don't say, like, I'm only going to give this 3-4 minutes and walk away. Spend the time. If you are in a relationship and you need to part ways, spend the time and listen to the other person in a very nice place. Next, Tammy. What you'll find out in time, as maybe you've had kids, that the more frequently you put in this situation, the more easy it is to handle giving bad news. But the big part of making a successful situation better in dealing with difficult people is preparation and the time you put in to have the details to be understood. Very often you'll be respected for doing that. I've had to, recently, I had a situation where one, we called her the mud lady. I had a situation where in my association, where a lady wrote to our management company that she didn't have grass in back of her condo, and she'd like grass seed put in the back on a slope. That was in April. Well, nothing was done in April. Nothing was, or in May. Behind the scenes, she didn't know. Well, we told her that there's a labor shortage. I think we all would agree that restaurants have had the issue, landscapers had the issue, concrete companies have an issue across the country. And our laborers, they just didn't have the time to do this grass seed in back this lady's house. Well, it elevated. It didn't happen in April. It didn't happen in May. So June comes along. She tells her husband she's fed up. Her kids are playing in mud. That's what she was saying. The kids are playing. Well, I don't know if you know, but in the Chicagoland here, we've had a drought. Drought in April and May. There's been less than 8 inches of rain year to date. And this wasn't a life-threatening thing, and I wasn't about to clobber the landscaper because we couldn't get to it. So she elevated the situation to her husband. Now, this guy is about 260 pounds. I'm 220. I look like a leprechaun to this guy. So I found out that he manages 5 restaurants downtown in Chicago by Wrigley Field, where the Cubs play. So I was prepared that I knew this was coming. He then starts an issue that, hey, nothing happened in April, nothing happened in May. It's already June. What about it could snow by the time this all happens? And so I'm listening, and he says to me, he says, I just want to let you know that, I just may stop paying my association dues. This may be the winter time, and my kids he didn't say the mud. I was just waiting for that one because it was a drought here. But I did know that he managed 5 restaurants downtown. And I said, one of the reasons, JD, that we have this issue is that they don't have laborers to do a lot of the work, not only with us, but others. And I didn't want to say this is a minor issue. This isn't a security issue at all. And I said, in addition, some of this isn't growing because there's a tree on the other side of the fence that isn't ours. And we're really not responsible for cutting that. And that's why some of the grass isn't growing, because it's not getting sun. And I said, we have a labor issue. And you told me earlier that at your restaurants, you have a shortage of labor. So I try to connect the things. Well, it didn't hit. It didn't hit. And he starts saying, well, the management could roll up their sleeves because that's what I do. And I need to get results, and that's what I do. And I said, our management, the management of the laborers is also working now to do some of this work. Well, I don't know, I'm fed up. I'm not going to pay my dues. You can see, Ron, what it's going to be like. And I'm thinking, I'm holding back, really giving it to him, because I could have said, you stop paying your association dues, I'll just put you in collections. Your collections is a lien on the property and it could affect your credit rating. I didn't do that. I intentionally didn't do that. I could have, because I was pissed off too about this. So he says, well, I'll fix it. He'll fix it. And I said, well, I'll tell you what, I'll get you sod and you put it in. He says, fine, I'll do that. I don't know how much you know about putting sod in, but you got to prepare it. You've got to do a lot of things to make this thing right. You got to write this, and it was on a slope. So I said, I'll repeat, I will get the sod. I'm going to put it on your driveway and you do it. A lot of work, a lot of work. Okay. So that was on a Friday night. We have this go-between. Saturday, I get a call that from the landscaper that they're going to be on the ground on Wednesday. Great news. I don't have to get the sod. He doesn't have to put it in. I called him on Sunday and said, JD, I've got some very good news for you. The landscaper is going to come up with their crew and they're going to fix the land there with the sod, seed and sod, not sod, but seed it and take care of it. That was Sunday. His reply was, I've already done it. I've bought the seed. I've been watering it. It's all done. And I said, fine, give me the receipts. And that. What happened in that scenario was he thought through how much work that would have been for him. He thought through that what I was saying about the laborers was true, and that impacted for us and every other association. And a few days later, I had tree trimmers come out while he was on vacation for a few days. Just so happened I had tree limbs cut. Things happen, but I didn't get angry. Could have made his situation very worse. He could have talked to neighbors to say, hey, that guy's a screwball. We got to get rid of him. But it was, I listened to his issues. I didn't waver in what I was going to do against him. And now, hi, Ron. Hi. Hey, so being patient and listening will always pay off in the long run. You gained encouragement, and the word got around. Ron's not a bad guy. Before it was Ron can't get anything done. Now it's hi, and the kids. You gain the respect. I could walk down the street and I couldn't believe the reaction I got from he and his wife. Your enemies either become harmless under these situations or they become your friends. In many cases, I'm lucky because of the way I handle it. I listen. I've got a lot of friends in the association here that talk positively. Taking positive, organized action despite fear is the kind of courage all successful people must have to be successful. So I'd like to open it up. I could give you other examples about how to that have occurred over the years, but I'd like to hear from you. Yeah.
Okay, Ryan, I would like to ask a question.
Go ahead.
Okay, this is Robbie. Everything you said is really great for business, and I agree with everything you said. But take a family situation, it's not the exact same way. It's just very difficult. When you have someone, say your sister, your brother, or somebody, and you go on a trip with, and you don't hit things off right, and you're trying to say something, and all they want to do is argue back with you. The only thing you can do is walk away. I don't know how to handle that situation.
Well, I think those issues are very complex, Robbie. I totally agree. I'm dealing with one in our family where my sister's son is not talking to his mother. And I see it as he's got to find himself. He's 34 years old and he's lived a charmed life. He was given a lot of things, but these family issues, Robbie, as you say, can be very complex. I just try to give out some points that if you followed and followed them with documentation about this and that. That works, but that's why there's psychiatrists and social workers and all that. I mean, I heard right now they're making you can't get appointments with these people. It's that. So I totally agree. It's complex. I'm lucky I gave you some things that has helped me through business, and I've given this to other people as well. At least it was a starting point, but I'm in your corner. Some of this is beyond me. Human life is so different, and with so many other people that hard to figure out.
You know, the funny thing too is, we can't always walk away from family. So
No.
in a business, you can go find a new job. If you don't have a successful, heart to heart with your leader or a colleague, we can't always do that same thing with our family. And I know one of the strategies, because it's hard to just bite your lip. You can only bite it so long. I don't know, Robbie, but if I bite my lip and then all of a sudden just something just gets to the core and I lash out, right? So in between those imperfections, one of the things that works for me is to just show love to that other person and try to say, just try to think of something nice to compliment them on. Because I feel like if they're constantly fighting with you, there must be something inside them that's challenging them, or there's a conflict inside the way they look at themselves that makes them argumentative, right? 100% of the time, the way people behave has everything to do with what's in their head than maybe what you've done, because you may just do an action. It's their perception of your action, or their perception of the sentence that you used, or their perception of the text that you sent. They're putting their perception into your very objective action. And so that somehow keys them off or triggers something inside of them. And then they make a sarcastic remark, or they do something, and especially with family, because they think they know you. So my strategy has been just try to try to acknowledge to myself that the way that they're behaving has nothing to do with me. It's all about their perception of life or the situation. And so once I can remove that feeling that I'm somehow responsible for this, it's easier to be calm and to just show loving responses, or to kind of give them a compliment. And I've noticed over time with some of my family members, it has opened doors. So I'm not fighting back, in other words, but that's hard to do unless you can. And you said you have a lot of experience in this, so you're probably already know what I'm saying is that people create their own messes, in other words. So anyway, I don't know if that's helpful for you.
I think that was well put, Tammy. Showing love. I don't understand my nephew, but everybody likes to be heard, and I listen to him when he talks. And just by listening, I'm hoping to get some. He trusts me very much. He's only talking to 2 people now. Everything I've talked about today, you can put aside, because based on Robbie, on what you said, people are so complex and you don't know what they're thinking. And many people are on so many different medications and life experiences. It's tougher than that.
Anybody else have some questions for Ron?
Or examples that they've handled in the past or would like some counsel on? Everybody's getting along with their friends and family members. Well,
I just unmuted. You know, Ron, I relate to everything you said. I've been there and done that. And like I said, when I was in the military, younger years, I was an idiot. But as I got into supervision, you know, I can remember an example when I took over a branch in Arizona, and I had like 4 departments in the branch, and they were all, you know, I was the ranking NCO, but they were all like master sergeants or tech sergeants or something, E5, E6, E7, and we had one branch that was falling down. It was just falling apart, and it was called non-powered age. And historically, these branches, when you get in, age was an aircraft ground support equipment. So the branch I was in charge of was provided all the equipment to maintain airplanes. Okay. And so we had a branch called non-powered age, which was maintenance stands and things like that. And it was just falling apart. And they'd have the people they usually put in non-powered age were the screw ups, because you didn't want them out there. You know, they got in trouble, so we'll kick them out, we'll put them in non-powered age. And so I was having a big problem. So we had a young E5 that worked in another branch, and I'll go get her. And I called him into my office and I asked him, and I said, I want you to take over non-powered age. And it was a kiss of death for him, he thought, you know. And he says, I really don't want to, because I won't have the support. I had, oh, the people out there, they don't want to work. I said, well, you can, you know, guide them, and I will do my best to give you better people. And he says, well, you know, this other guy, this other tech sergeant, he always demands this from non-powered age and everything like that. And I told him, I says, look, I'm the branch supervisor. And I says, I got 4 branches. And I said, I don't care what the rank is. Whoever is in charge of that branch reports directly to me. You don't report to somebody with 1 or 2 more stripes just because they got more stripes. And so he says, okay. And I said, I'm going to do my best. I said, you deserve to have a promotion, and I'm going to try my best to get you promoted. And so he did it. And after a while, he comes storming into the office, and he said, this ain't working. So what's the matter? And he says, Tech Sergeant Gallo, you just come and grabbing my people and demanding this and demanding that, you know. And he said, I can't do it. So I sat there and I had a meeting with both of them, and I called him in and I said, Sergeant Gallagher, I said, I've told this man here that I wanted him to run that branch and that he reports to me and only me, and he has the same authority over his branch as you have over your people, you know. So I prefer that you did not go in there and tell him how to run his people, take his people and put them in jobs that's not related to what they're supposed to be doing. And he come back and he said, well, you know, I got the rank. Rank does have its privileges. And I said, that's fine, but not here. And I told him, I says, you know, you are a senior NCO, I mean, a ranking NCO. And when it comes to Air Force dress policies, conduct, and things like that, I says, it is your responsibility to correct somebody if they're out of uniform, they need a haircut, or something's wrong with them. I says, I have no problem with that. But don't go in there and try to run that guy's job or take his people. And he huffed and puffed around him. But anyway, the branch turned out really good, you know, and I the guy got a promotion for it. And so, but you know, it worked out. But man, it was a hectic thing there for a while, you know. It's just the way you handle it, you know.
yeah. Talking about that, I've learned over the years, and I got this from someone else, when somebody says something to you that you disagree with, and whether it's in a relationship or in business or any words you could say if you disagree, I'm uncomfortable with what you just said. It's a soft landing to something that when somebody's attacking you, I'm uncomfortable with what you just said, and then explain yourself for this reason or that.
Yeah.
It has worked for me and in a relationship, and something to keep in mind. I'd like to pass along. Yeah.
Listening to Brad, I was kind of relating his situation with the steps that you recommended, right? So he had a meeting, got the people together, was very clear about his intention, right? What he wanted to get out of the meeting.
Yeah.
Sounded like, based on what I don't know how the real meeting went, but tonight listening to Brad, he was calm. He was respectful to the other person, listened to what the other guy, he was thinking in his mind that he had authority in that area, but Brad said that, created some clarity around there. No, these are the areas that you have authority over, but in this particular case, I'm the lead. So it sounded, and then that person that was working under Brad ended up excelling because he had the space to do that. So I kind of commend you, Brad, on having that whole meeting.
Well, I can point out a little bit opposite situation with almost the same people when I first took over the branch. Like I said, it was for support equipment. Now, I was an aircraft mechanic. I used this equipment, I abused this equipment, and I had no knowledge of maintaining this equipment and stuff, you know. So knowing the people that run the branch or someone that comes up in that career field and gets promoted into it. Because of the rank, when I got to be a certain rank, I was supposed to be able to go into any of these places and take over. So I didn't understand how the age branch worked and all that kind of stuff. We had our meetings and everything. And we were having problems back and forth. And I said, we need to get them worked out. And this is, you may call it losing your cool. Sometimes you got a lot of fire under their butt. You know what I mean? And so we had a meeting and they were arguing back and forth. I said, I want this resolved. I said, this is what I need to do. And all this other kind of stuff. And they were like, well, it's not my responsibility. It's the other guys, it's this guy's. And I listened to it and I said, come on, guys, we got to get some plan going. Give me some ideas, you know, or whatever. And went on and went on and went on. And I said, okay, I've had it. So I jumped up and I slammed my fist down on the table and everybody jumped and shut up. And I said, here's the thing. I said, I'm going to give you till tomorrow to come up and tell me how we can do this, or I will make the decisions for you and you surely won't like it. And oh man, the mumbles, you know. And so I just said, that's one of the time when you actually got to light a fire under, you know. And they came back with some ideas, and some of them I took, some of them I didn't, you know, and it worked. You know, but it's one of those things when the talking wasn't working, you know.
Sometimes you got to push, just like you did, Brad. You just,
yeah.
there are some consequences for that, but
Yeah.
you felt that you had people in your corner. Or you thought you did.
Yeah, they weren't.
Yeah.
I put them in my corner. But as a saying, you know, it's like a, you know, it was an authoritarian thing type thing, you know, but it's just something that had to be done. But after it cleared out, you know, when I left the branch, I mean, I got all kind of plaques and accolades and a party and all that kind of stuff, you know. So I mean, it worked out.
That's great, Brad. Maybe they were glad they threw the party because you were leaving.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
I'm kidding. I hope you don't mind I said that. I know you enough, but that wasn't it. It sounds like you were a very good leader.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Did all right.
Yeah.
Anybody else want to share or ask any questions?
I have to agree with Robbie, what she said. It's so much different when you're dealing with people and the complexities there. I have a real appreciation for parents who have kids and they have to deal with kids who don't understand or won't understand, and issues linger for a long time.
There's
I'm sorry, Tammy.
no,
but
go ahead, Robbie.
I was just going to say, this is a funny one. It's not funny, but it is. Someone that is a nanny and has to take care of kids all day and have done it for like 20 years. And they're very much authoritarian over the kids. but they talk to them like kids. So when they get around other people, they treat all the other people like that. And so you get treated like a little kid, and it's okay for a little bit. You can object, but then after a while, you're on your last straw and you go, I'm not a child. Will you quit treating me like a child? And they don't understand. They do not understand whatsoever that they are doing that. That's a hard one.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, Robbie. Like sometimes you can try to hold back, but I break, and I react.
Exactly.
I react. And so, because sometimes, I mean, it seems like they don't, people, well, anyway, let me just say, like the person in question, whatever, doesn't see what you're seeing, right? So you're seeing them, or are they? I mean, it sounds to me like they probably are. That language, they're used to treating people that way and bossing them around and everything. So they don't even realize that they're doing it all the time because that's so their norm. I'm hoping maybe if you bring it up enough in a relatively calm way, maybe the rational person would at some point step back and say, maybe I did say that a little dictatorially. That's all you can do, I guess, is just you. But I think the point of tonight's event is don't hold back from trying to communicate. So if you're
Yes.
feeling something and you're not comfortable with the way the person is treating you, then you have the right and you should do whatever you can to muster the courage to bring up the subject. And obviously, the calmer that you're able to do that, the better the outcome potentially. Better than holding back.
Yeah. It'll just eat you up. The stress is just tough. We're getting older. We can't take that stress. We need our sleep. And we don't need more cocktails sometimes, but we need our sleep.
I mean, I guess for me to round up too, since people don't always have a handle on their feelings, or they don't always, they're not great communicators because we're all on different levels of the journey. And so asking questions.